Shelly, we're recording it now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Shelly. So, Matt and I started talking about a few things. First of all, we started talking about what you and I were just speaking about, which was the math equation for the noise. Okay. What I sent to you and Matt, which let me show you real quick. All right. Let me show you what I do. I mean, you can do it, but if you're not comfortable with the calculator after you get it today, I'm going to tell you this is my opinion. We've already discussed how little bit of math is on the. I think we'd all agree, right, that there's very little math on the
Yeah.
test. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I do, okay, because this is one of the noise formulas. I can't worry about trying to learn too many formulas because there's just hours, and I don't know that the benefit is there. Okay, can y'all see my cursor on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so look right here, Shelly. Let me see. Give me 1 second, Matt. I'm going to see if I can make this a different color. Okay, all right. So, Shelly, look right here. You see how 80 and 32?
Yep.
All right, so 80 and 32. Give me 1 second, y'all, because my screen. Okay. Okay, so 80 and 32. This is what I was telling you by text, okay? Is for every 5 decibels, right, you have the exposure level, okay? So the time. So for every 5 decibels from 80 to 85, I went from 32 hours down to 16, okay? I went from 90 decibels down to 8. You see what I'm saying? So every time I add 5 decibels, all right, I'm halving the time. If you get used to this principle, starting at 80 decibels and going up, you're always going to have the one that ends on a multiple of 5. Okay, and then hang on 1 second because I need to get rid of this. Well, that's not going to work. Hang on a second. Let me clear this off. Okay, so let me so now I'm going to raise it a little bit so you can see it. So that's what I was just talking about right now, Shelly. Is now right here, right?
Yep.
I left off at 100. I left off at 100. You see, it went down to 95, went to 4, right? 100 went
Yep.
to 2, 105 went to 1. Okay, 110 goes to a half hour. All right, and 115 goes to 25.
Almost to a quarter. Yeah.
Now that is your step. That is a short-term exposure limit, meaning that means that these numbers we can be exposed to without any hearing protection at all. Okay, so 8 hours
Yeah.
at 50 decibels is the equivalent of 115 decibels at 15 minutes. Okay, with the exception that it's our short-term exposure limit. Now that being said, the last one right here is 115 decibels. 116. When we hit 116, forget it's even 0.22, Matt. It's called the ceiling. That means that if we get hit with a dose of 116 for even a fraction of a second, now it's got to go on our personnel record, like for our medical record, for not recordable, but our medical record, basically showing that we were exposed to it. Because it doesn't necessarily mean it would turn into an injury, Shelley, but they have to note it on a medical record because later we wind up having hearing problems or something. They're going to come back and attribute it to any time we exceeded the permissible exposure limits, the cell or the ceiling. Okay. Now, don't worry about it in that depth, Shelley. What I'm going to recommend is all you worry about is right here. For every 5 decibels, right? 8 at 32. For every 5 decibels, half the exposure. Okay? But
Yep.
this is what I'm going to show you right here. This is where, Matt, this is the question right here that Shelly sent to us. Okay? That y'all are seeing right here. Okay? Shelly, so this is what I do. I take that 90 decibels at 8 hours. All right? I go ahead and calculate a quarter of the time. It's not an exact math. All right? But a quarter, it's actually just a little bit more than a quarter. Call it about 27, 28%, right? So if I do a quarter will put me at 6. For every 2.5 decibels, I reduce it a quarter. It's going to put me a little bit less than 6 decibels. I mean 6 hours. Okay, and that was the question you had on that test.
Okay, so say that one more time.
I'm going to show you right here.
So every quarter.
So for every quarter, for every 2.5 decibels. Okay, do we agree with this? Do we agree that for every 5 decibels you remove half the time exposure time? Do we agree with that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So for every 2.5 decibels, right, which is half of 5, right? Basically reduced it by a quarter. So it's going to put you at 1.44, something like that, right here. Okay. So it's going to put you at 1.44, which is just a little bit less than a quarter off. I mean, a little bit more than a quarter off. So if you want to get real close, let me give you an example. Okay. If I take a 2, because 100 decibels, right, at 2, and I take a 2 and I knock off, let's call it 28%. Okay. If I knock it off 28%, that means that it's going to leave me with, let's see, it's going to be 2 hours, right, times 0.72, because I'm subtracting 20%. It's going to leave me at, hang on a second, 2 times 7, 6, 8, 7, 2. It's going to leave me at 1.44. So 1.44 is going to be right here if I subtract about 28 decibels off of the last reading. So you subtract 50% of the decibels, right, in increments of 5. Subtract about 28% of the decibels of the exposure time for every 2.5 decibels difference. It's a little bit more than
Okay, so a quarter, 2.5 decimals reduces it by a quarter.
a little bit more than a quarter. So
okay, so when I'm trying to figure that, I'm going to take the 2 hours times. I don't know how you're getting that 72.
28%. I'm subtracting 28% from 100.
Oh, okay, I got it.
I just reversed the equation.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same thing with Brandon the other day. Remember when he was messing around when you were doing your test score? You remember when you missed 16, right? Or 14?
Yeah.
And it was just the reverse order. So
right, I got it now.
Okay, but let me give you an example. If that screws you up, right? Let's say 95 decibels. Matt, you with us?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say this, Matt. Let's say 95 decibels right here, y'all, right? Where you see the cursor? 95 decibels. If I add 5 decibels, I'm halving it. If I add 5 decibels, I'm halving it right there to 2. Okay? Now look at where you see where my blue dot is right here, Shelly? At 97
Yep.
Okay. At 97.5 decibels, if I take off a little bit more than a quarter will be 1 out of 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be 3, but it's a little bit more than a quarter, so it's less than 3. Okay? So it's gonna be like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more than a quarter that you're removing from it. So you got a calculator with you?
Yep.
Do 90. So I want you to do this for me. Ready? I want you to do 4 times 0.72.
2.88.
There you go. You see where the blue dot is? That's about where it is. And that's almost where
I see.
it's not exact, but it's really close, Matt.
What was it? 4 times what?
Okay, so this is the way this is the rule, right? Let me go up towards the top. Here's the rule, all right? Y'all keep an eye on that rectangle. I have hang on a second. Y'all keep an eye on that rectangle right there, okay? All right, if I take 8 and I add 5 decibels of my exposure, I have to half my time is multiplied by time 0.5. It's half.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so it's there. And then there from 85 to 90, you see it's halved again.
Yep.
Okay, and the same thing there, Shelly. 90 to 95, it's half.
Yep.
Okay, so now, Matt, let's go to, if I want 92.5, Matt, look at it right here. Multiply, Matt, right here, right? So look at my 90. My 90 is 8 hours, right? Multiply my 8 hours times 0.72.
Which is 576, 5.76,
Okay,
which
and how much was it, Shelly, on the test?
5.3.
Okay, was there any answer closer to that?
I believe it was a 6.1.
Okay,
I'll
so
have to go back to the test, but
okay, so let's go. We might get a little aggressive. Let's do this. Let's get just a little bit more aggressive, right? Let's go to my 8 hours times 0.70. That's going to put me at 5.6 still. Man, I mean maybe a third, but it's like clockwork every single time. So look, watch. Let me start right here. Okay, 32 decibels, right? Let's say times 0.69, right? It's going to be 22, a little over 22. It's going to put me right there. It's between these two. So you shouldn't have an answer that's that close, Shelly, because they normally don't put answers that close. Let me look at the text that you sent me. Okay, give me 1 second. So Matt, the question she had was, how much exposure time can we have at 92.5 decibels? And her answer was 5.3. Oh no, I'm sorry. The answer was 93, Shelly. 93. I mean, the question was 93 decibels, not 92.5.
Yeah, it's 5.3.
Exactly. So okay, so let's say, but the thing is, Matt, I'm trying not to give y'all too much math. Okay. So the thing is this: if you go to 8 times 0.72, okay, if I do 8 times 0.72, that puts me at 5.76. But I know I need to get a little bit lower because it's 93 decibels, right? It's a little bit greater than what I said. So drive the number down a little bit.
yeah.
Just get yourself close, Shelly. Just remember this. Put your hands out. Okay? You got your hands out?
Yep.
Okay, raise one hand more than the other. Your decibels are going higher, your exposure time's going lower. Okay? So if I got you
Okay.
if I got you at 92.5 and the answer is 5.76, raise your hand a little bit higher because the exposure is actually 93, not 92.5.
Mhm.
You see how your exposure
Okay.
went down just a little bit more? So it's a little bit less than 5.7.
Okay.
You're not gonna have Matt. First of all, I don't expect y'all to have anything other than an integer of 5, Shelly, okay? A multiple of 5. But if you do have more than a multiple of 5, you know how to know if you need to go higher or lower by putting your hands out and acting like a scale. You can do the math, Matt.
Okay.
Matt, I sent you guys the formula. It's up to you. But Shelly, I wouldn't give it that much time on that formula.
Okay.
Okay? You can come.
Okay. Because you know what? It took me all of lunchtime and I was beating my head and I would have missed all the other test questions.
That's why you have to use I don't want to call them cheating tools, but shortcuts, right? You have to use
Right.
answers that are going to get close enough. So let me tell Matt. Here were the answers that she had, right? These are the the options that Shelly had on this question, which was the options were 6.8, 5.3, 3.0, and 1.5. So Shelly, that answer is 5.76. You see how close you are to 5.3?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And if you put
Yeah.
your out, you know you based it on 9.5, 92.5. If I go up a little bit more decibel, it's a little bit less time than 5.73. So it's got to go in the downward direction. It's kind of like, you remember how we did,
Okay. I got it.
Matt, you remember how we did the rigging one yesterday to get close enough?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same thing, man. You just got to get close enough to the correct answer. The fortunate thing is they're not killing us on these answers where they're apart by a tenth or 2/10 of a point. Okay? So it's not that close.
Okay.
Does that give y'all enough to practice and then we'll work on it again tonight?
Yep.
Okay, Matt, can we move on for this or you want to talk about it a little bit more?
No, we're good.
Okay, cool. Okay.